Ain't no half Steppin with Marcus J. That was Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech from August of 1963 on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. I Have a Dream. Ain't no half Steppin Marcus J. I want to transition this segment and talk a little bit about the legacy that Martin Luther King has left that has led us to our nation's first black president. Some folks like to say African American. I'm going to say black. He's a black president.
Brother.
He's a brother. Basically what I want to do, I'll start with you on this one, Sylvia. Martin Luther King's prophecy, a lot of what he talked about in that speech and others talked about equal rights and that sort of thing. And now that there is a black president who's been elected to his second term, what does that mean to you and any people or children that may be in your camp? What's your thoughts?
I think we have progressed a lot with a little bit of equality, but it's still, not quite there yet. Right. However, me being a product of the county, I was one of those. Exactly. I was one of those kids that, parents got middle class and moved to Chesterfield, so we left Richmond and went to Chesterfield, and my sister was like the only black girl on the cheerleading squad. These people accepted us. Right. We never really seen any racism like that except for TV. Right. Every now and then, you might get something stupid happen, but I see it progressing, a little equality. A lot of things that he spoke of in that speech are happening. So I've never felt a big issue from that. I just think a lot of things that he spoke about are happening. That's a good thing. The equality, like I said, we're kind of good with it, but it's a work in progress. Yeah. Like a lot of things, it's a work in progress. You can't help who's ignorant.
Ain't no half Steppin with Marcus J on the live line. We got a friend of the show who's joined us in the past. We got your main man Larry on the line. What's up, brother?
Hey man, how you doing?
Doing fabulous. Thanks for calling, man. Thanks for listening. What's up?
This is a show that I make it a point to listen to when I'm off on Mondays, and it's a lot of commentary on here, which I think is great commentary, and that a lot of people need to listen to, especially the younger people.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
But let me tell you something. The thing about this is, now I come from a generation of, when I was bused, I lived over in Richmond and bused, went past 3 schools to go over to Fred D. Thompson, which at that time was right next to Huguenot, which is just as white could be. And they didn't want us over there. And it took, honestly, 3 days of straight fighting over there every day to finally get to school where we actually, one busload of black kids took over the school. And, and it's sad that it had to be like that, but that's the way it was. Now, let's fast forward to 2013. And, let me say one thing first of all. Martin Luther King, if he was here and see the way we are now, would he be happy? No way. Not at all. Because we still live in a time where black folks, sometimes we are our own worst enemy. We talk about black-on-black crime back then. It is more prevalent now than anything else. Unfortunately, we live in times where we are like crabs. We see one of us get up there and the rest of us want to pull us down.
Yep.
We haven't, our young people, that's the part that gets to me. There are a lot, I can't paint everybody with the same brush. But I tell my daughter all the time, I said, honey, education, number one, is the best thing that you can do for yourself. But, we sitting and I'm telling her, how is school going? Well, Dad, most of my friends, they want to hang with the pants hanging down to the floor. Most of them think that it's cool to be dumb. And I just, Dr. Martin Luther King would be like, where are my people? What's going on?
Sylvia, you got a comment? What you got?
I totally understand, but again, it goes back to influence, parents. Now, everybody in this room seems like they have a level head. People in this room that has children, and you speaking, are teaching your children about this stuff. Education first. Your child ain't walking out the door with no pants hanging down because you're there. You're involved. We're in a generation where the grandmoms are 30.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody has to work. So the kids are going from house to house to house or at daycare, not getting taught anything at home because mama and daddy tired or there's no daddy in the home. It's an influence thing. We need to teach our children, and not just the ones that we birthed. We need to teach our children in our community, our minority children, that education is the way you treat people, the way you want to be treated. It's some parents out here is just ridiculous. It's the parents.
You want more burger?
Can you say that again? Because I've got so many young parents who are worse than the kids are.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Larry, you got any final thoughts, Larry, before we let you go?
Yeah, the final thought I say is this. What? We have an opportunity to reach, preach, and teach.
Tell it,
We
Larry.
have an opportunity to do that. It takes shows like this that need to become more people listen to for our youngsters to learn. We got to learn because it's not a lost generation. It needs to be an educated generation that starts from home. Hey, I appreciate the show, Mark. I'm always be there to listen to you, bro.
Appreciate it, brother. That's my man, Larry. Thank you so much. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. Grizzy. What's your thoughts on it, bro?
I mean, he made a very important point. The great equalizer is education. You can't get prejudice can't get around intelligence. Prejudice can't get around education because even the white exurb kid whose parents may have had the Confederate flag on their backs, mainly those are the ones, those Gen Xers or baby boomers. Those are the ones that voted the president in. Honestly,
yeah.
I'm sorry, and education is not just from school.
Sure not.
Education comes from all types of things. You have to teach your children about things that's going on. It's not up to the teachers. When they finish, you need to be on your job when they get home.
Now, I'm a very strong proponent of that. I totally agree with you, Sylvia, because a lot of times you have parents who feel that the teacher is the primary teacher, which couldn't be further from the truth. One of the proudest moments that I had as a parent was when Mama J came home from school and she told me that her teacher asked her why she wanted to do her project on Malcolm X. That to me was a proud moment because, these are the things that I teach my daughter about. Not specifically Malcolm X, but more specifically, or more generally, I should say, about someone that the teacher didn't have information on that maybe she had to go and do some homework now. Because my daughter knows who Malcolm X is. She knows who Bob Marley is. She knows who Nelson Mandela is. We go through this. Not just Black History Month. She sees the photos around my house. Right. She hears the music that I listens to. Right. She sees the books on my bookshelves. So I can speak for me. I wish I could speak for other children, but children around me, children that I have access to, these are the kinds of lessons that I want to impart upon them. I think it's important because I would much rather have a child that's pro-intelligence than a child around me that's got their pants hanging off their ass, right. Which is a huge problem for me. Another direction I want to go into, because a good friend of mine, I'm going to come to you on this one first, Big Rube. Another friend of mine had a post on Facebook a few days ago in anticipation of the inauguration. He had a question about the fact that we've got a black president now for a second term for a total of 8 years. Has that set us back with regards to race relations in this country? Because there are lots of incidences of blatant racism that have been making their way into the mainstream media. We talked a little bit about two of them in the last segment. And of course, you have a lot of people who feel strongly about the President George Bush having been disrespected just as much as President Obama. I disagree with that, but folks are entitled to their opinion. But the specific question that was asked, has the president being a black man set us back with regards to race relations?
Well, Grilly said it best. Intelligence always supersedes ignorance. And if you're gonna hate the dude for being black, I mean, to me that's not even a good reason to hate anybody because of their skin color. That's just dumb, actually. Now, has it hurt race relations? Well, I think it's hurt race relations with the people who don't want race relations to be helped. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it. And we talked a lot during October about the election. And where the race relations hurts is in the South, is in the Deep South. They don't want to be helped. It's almost like, and I hate to put it this way, but it's almost like a bunch of zombies. And you can't kill them. so they just keep walking around. That's what racism.
I'm sorry, man.
That's what racism is.
That was good.
It's like something you can't kill. It's not something you can't die. That won't die. It's something that you have to make a conscious choice to be like, I don't want to act like this anymore. I don't want to teach my kids this anymore. We all talk about how we're one nation, under God. Obviously, we're not one nation under God because it don't make sense the way we're acting as a whole. I'm not talking like one or two people. I'm talking as a whole. But, numbers never lie.
There you go.
And you can sit here and manipulate numbers as much as you want. But when it's all said and done, it never lies. Does it hurt racial relations? It only hurts the people who want to be hurt. If you choose to not like Obama because he's black, that's great. Once again, it's your reason. That don't make it intelligent. If you hate the dude because you're more intelligent than him and he's doing something else you don't like gun control, you don't like the way he's doing that, that's a completely different story. But if you hate him because he's black and you're mad because your boy didn't get in because he's white and the white will rule the world, whatever thought process you have, I mean, that's a you problem. And as long as it's a you problem, you're one of those nice little zombies down there walking around until you decide that you want to change it up and live like the rest of us.
Real quick. What a lot of people fail to understand is Obama. Well, it's obvious. It's a fact. But Obama is biracial. He's half white and half black. Yep. But the folks out here who hate on him hate only one half of them. Do you hate the other half of them? Because you can't have one without the other. But it just, and I taught my sons this lesson just the other day. If you take a glass of water and you drop some black dye in it, the water changes. You know what I'm saying? So black can go into something clear and change the physical characteristics of it. If you take black dye and put a little bit of clear water in it, it doesn't change. It's still going to look like black dye. Maybe different shades of it, but that's just plain old. That's a science project for a fifth grader. And what happens is I'm going to say white folk because we're in America, and that's who mostly doing all this racism is those few white folks that's in Jim Crow South.
No, that's part of us, too. Don't be...
Yeah, don't forget Miss Shirley who's on the corner now.
Black folk...
Well, I mean, that's true. Get big Ruben Mike. Go ahead, make your point, Ruben.
No, I'm saying don't sit here and just categorize one people without categorizing the other. Black people hate white people just as much. White people hate black people. Yeah. Chinese people hate everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's just you can't sit here and just give one group the whip and not give it to everybody because it is very possible and prominent how all these unfortunate little black kids hate white people because they feel like
I understand that. But
they held them down for forever and yada yada yada. That's once again.
But
that's
what?
Another excuse.
Yeah, that's another excuse, and it's also a you problem. But I appreciate the point that Grizzy was making because it was very similar to the point that I was going to make, and I think that's the reason why you've got legions and legions and legions of black people who are following Barack Hussein Obama. Now we've had people who have ascended to not the presidency, but certainly a high level of visibility in national politics in the past, and you didn't see black people rallying around them. And I give you Jesse Jackson, I give you Al Sharpton, I give you Herman Cain. I mean, these are people who
Gant that ran for senator in '88 against Jesse Helms.
These are people who are, I guess for lack of a better term, authentically black. 100% black people from America, when you'll get some people that'll argue with you about Barack Hussein Obama being half Kenyan, which I never really got into that argument. Really? I don't agree with it, but if someone that's close to me looks at it that way, and we've had that discussion, but getting back to the whole thing about racism, yeah, I mean, it is certainly a freeway of racism, white to black and black to white. But I don't know that I've seen black people portray the kind of venomous hatred specifically towards a white politician, in such mass. Now, I'm not saying that it's most white people because it's not true. If you just say that, you're being disingenuous because there's no way that he would be elected president if it had not been for white for white people and black people and for everybody who came together
Right.
to elect this man president. But let's not get it twisted. It's not black people running around parading the flag of racism and keeping it going generation after generation. Y'all can sit here and talk about how black people hate on white folk all y'all want.
Reactionary.
But let's not sit here and act like we don't know the history of this country.
It's reactionary.
Because that ain't gonna let that fly on this show.
Thank you.
Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J. We getting a hit on the Facebook page. We got Hakeem is hitting us up. Good point, Big Rube. He's agreeing with you about your zombie comment. One nation under, I actually agree with that too. One nation under God. He's got in quote, segregation and discrimination is taught in a good book, and I'm not talking about references to slavery. So, Big Rube, you definitely got a fan in your man Hakeem up there in New Jersey.
Hakeem, big up.
Big up, Grizzy.
The original question, back to the original question, like what influence has Obama had on race relations? I mean, honestly, I think it's a push. I mean, he hasn't given me any more black pride than I've already had. I'm proud to see that a black man is president, of course, but and for the folks who oppose him based on his background or his race, like Ruben said, it's not going to change them any more than the hate that they already have in their heart. What it does do, though, is it lets the country know that no matter where you come from, you have an opportunity to be president of the United States. So it's just the opportunity that, what Barack Obama represents. Like, my children only know two presidents, George Bush. Well, my oldest knows Clinton, but, my other two youngest, George Bush, and then they see Barack Obama. And it's like, every time he comes, oh, that's Barack Obama. I never saw up until my adult years as a kid. Can you imagine Ronald Reagan being black?
We getting two hits. We get hit on the MixLR page. We got Desiree Monique is hitting us up. She disagrees. Black people can't be racist because they don't have the power.
Amen.
But then again, Hakeem is hitting us again on the Facebook page, saying that some of the biggest racists he knows are black. So you definitely have
Grizzy.
Hold up. We definitely have kind of conflicting opinions coming from MixLR listeners as well as coming from the Facebook listeners. Sylvia, you had a comment?
I just wanted to say I like the thing I like about Barack Obama is he really, what I get from him is he is an American people. When you watch his story, his mom is white, his dad had, the Muslim part of it, how he grew up with the grandma playing a big part of his life. Right. I mean, he you can see the passion when this man talk about certain things. He looks like he really cares.
He's
not just taking a picture because he has to be there. It's like he is the people. Like, right. I so feel like I feel you. I know this man when I watch him on TV, and that's what I feel comfortable with. And his wife, she's awesome. The children, like the whole family, just feel like
right. But the flip side of that, and actually one last hit from Hakeem, he's saying it's not even about some, it's the biggest racist that he knows is black, hands down. I just responded to him on the Facebook page that's an individual, but generally I just disagree with as a general rule. But I think the thing that I like the most about the Obama family, like you said, Sylvia, is the fact that they're real. But one thing that I want to keep in mind is that there's a large section of the country that looked at the George Bush family and felt that they were real. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that looked there's a lot of people that, looked at Ronald Reagan's family and felt that he was real. So we got to remember the differences between the wolves and the foxes, because I've always given that analogy, because wolves and foxes are both dogs. One's going to bite you and be bold about it, and the other one's going to try to be slick about it. So we can say what we want. And Desiree Monique hit us on the Facebook page, on the MixLR page, and she's saying that he doesn't necessarily have all the power, which I agree with. I agree that as the president of the United States, you are the one that people look to, but there are also three branches.
They really have no power.
Right. There are three branches, but you can't do anything without Congress and the Senate. We've seen that. We know that. So, and then there's also people the conspiracy theorists out there, as it may be, who don't believe that the president of the United States is anything more than a figurehead anyway. So,
that movie?
you know, it is, you know, and I certainly have my reservations on how much power the president of any country is going to have unless they're a dictator. Ain't no half Steppin, Marcus J. Unfortunately, we're going to need to leave it there. All right, Grizz, go ahead and get your last comment in.
Yeah, you know, what I'll say about this is in regards to the show and the show topic, what I would like to see from a second term from President Obama as a voter that voted for him twice, and the reasons why I voted for him. Please, Mr. Obama, you do not have to kowtow to these redneck Republicans. Please, you are the president. We voted you in twice. You got 56% the first one in 08, and you got like 52, 53% here. That's a majority. And yes, the Congress is still run by Republicans, and you have to talk to them, but you got to let them know that the power still rests to your party's hands in the Senate and in the presidency. So so far so good coming out on gun stance. So far so good on the economic policies, the fiscal cliff, and the debt ceiling. So I would definitely like for you to speak out more about the people that are trying to get into that American dream. People, especially people of color. Al Sharpton, Cornel West called you out towards the end of the election, and I think they had a point in saying
I think you mean Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, who I say?
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton. I think Sharpton's criticizing a little bit too, but not as much as Tavis and Cornel West. But I think you have a responsibility, and you could and pundits out there will say, "Well, Grizz, you know, the president has a responsibility to all the people, but we never had a first black president." You know what I'm saying? So that would be my challenge to the president. If you were listening, celebrating with Beyonce and Jay-Z tonight, don't pop no mileage, though.
Ain't no half Steppin with Marcus J. We really hope he's not popping a molly. We're going to leave it there. We're going to take our final break of the night, and we're going to come back with our rants and closings. We're going to go to break with the final speech that Martin Luther King gave before his passing in April of 1968. This was delivered in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Masonic Church there. Hang tight. Be back in a minute. Ain't no half Steppin, Marcus J.